Merry meet guys, welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to do a few videos, probably two. They're going to be on the Book Witch series, and the first one of the Book Witch series that I'm doing tonight is on the book Protection and Reversal Magic, a Witch's Defense Manual by Jason Miller. And if you're not familiar with Jason Miller's work, he does a lot of he has a lot of books out on sorcery, more of traditional and ceremonial magic. This book, I absolutely love it for reasons of self-defense, and he doesn't talk about just protection magic, where a lot of authors, there's a lot of books that I have, like the Penzak's Witch's Shield, Ellen Dugan's Practical Protection Magic. They just focus on setting up barriers, getting rid of negativity, and sending it back, and reversals and things like that. This one goes into a little bit further, um, which I will explain. I got this book off of Amazon a long time ago. I've had this for a while. I think I paid maybe $8 for it, $8 or $6, between 8. It was under $10, but original price it's $15.99. I'll read the back of it, and then I'll read about Jason Miller, and then we'll go into more of the depth. So the back of it says, you could be a target of a spell or a curse and not even know it. All people, witches or not, are susceptible to these attacks. The difference, witches and magicians can do something about it. Now you can too. Protection and Reversal Magic is a complete how-to manual on preventing, defending, and reversing magic attacks of any kind. You will learn how to set up early warning systems, appease angry spirits through offerings, perform daily banishings, and make amulets that will prevent most attacks, make magical decoys to absorb attacks against you, summon guardian spirits or guards for help, bind, confuse, or expel a persistent enemy who will not leave you be. These techniques aren't just for Wiccans either, but for ceremonial magicians, root doctors, witches, and anyone who else puts magic into their practical use. Like the cunning men and women of old, now you can defend yourself and your loved ones against even the strongest of attacks. So yeah, this book is, I definitely recommend this book if you are interested in learning how to defend yourself against black magic, or, well, I wouldn't say black magic, maledictions, that's a better term, or the psychic attack, or if you're dealing with a haunting, or there's even a rite in here for exorcism, which I found highly fascinating. But I would not suggest that one does the rite of exorcism unless they have someone with more experience with them. So you have to gain experience first to do it, because, in my opinion, the rite of exorcism is a very difficult thing to deal with. But the front of the cover, super awesome. It actually uses the triangle in here is sealed from Hecate, I believe. Most of this book is, well, hold on. So, the contents of the book is the preface, introduction, then chapter 1 is recognizing an attack, daily practices is chapter 2, 3 is personal protection, chapter 4 is protection for the home, chapter 5 is exorcism, chapter 6 is spirit guardians and servitors, chapter 7 is reversals and counter magic, chapter 8 is healing and recovery, and chapter 9 is the final words. And then he has two appendix in the back, A and B. A is sources for further study, and B is information on Hecate. So I want to read for you the preface of the book, and then I will show you my highlighted sections and what I use out of the book, and why I think this is a really fantastic book on counter magic and not just protection magic itself. So, So this starts out. This book is an attempt to step beyond the 101s that seem to fill the shelves these days. Although it is assumed that the reader already knows a little bit about witchcraft and magic, I want to take a moment to define terms and talk about approaches taken to the magic in the book, which may be different than what you're used to. The first thing, I want to make this clear that this is a book on defensive witchcraft, not Wicca. Though many use the terms interchangeably, witchcraft embraces a much wider spectrum than just Wicca, which can be seen as a particular type of religious witchcraft. Witchcraft, as we use the term in this book, is the craft and implies a type of practical sorcery and mysticism that embraces elements of chthonic, lunar, feminine, and so on in its practice. As Robert Cochrane said when he was asked what a witch is, this is in quotations, if one who claims he or she is a witch can perform the tasks of witchcraft, that is, they can summon spirits, and spirits will come. They can turn hot into cold, and cold into hot. They can divine with rod, fingers, and birds. They can claim the right to omens and have them. Above all, they can tell the maze and cross the leaf. If they can do these things, you have a witch. And give me 1 second, let me tell you where that's from. So the preface, that was from letter number 8 from Robert Cochrane to the ceremonial magician William Gray. And he continues the preface. The magic in this book is certainly acceptable to Wiccans and pagans, but it could easily be employed by ceremonial magicians, root workers, or anyone else who embraces the basic principles of operative witchcraft. To avoid rehashing the same old rituals that have been explained time and time again, I have endeavored to make the spells and rites in this book as original as I can. That said, I have been trained in traditional magic from all over the world, and many will recognize the traditional roots of my rituals. Because this is a book on practical magic, I have made no effort to focus on one tradition at exclusion of another. Thus, you will find spells that have their roots in African American hoodoo, along ones inspired by European folk magic, the ones that stem from Himalayan tantric, and ones that stem from Himalayan tantric sorcery. Tech is tech after all, and what works is what works, be it magic or machinery. As Aleister Crowley said, success be thy proof. In order to pay respect to these traditions and their own culture context, I encourage you to check out the material in the Appendix A for further study. And he has a huge list of books in the appendix to the further study. This is the last paragraph. Lastly, I have dedicated this work to the goddess Hecate in all her diverse forms. Most of the spoken spells and incantations invoke her or her spirits connected to her. These spoken incantations can be altered or replaced to fit individual disposition, taste, and tradition, without changing the overall nature of the spell. Some people like rhyming couplets, some find them silly. Some will be moved by incantations in Latin and Greek, some insist working only in English. Take these rituals as a base and make them your own. In doing so, you are practicing in the true tradition of cunning man and wise woman throughout history, which keeps the craft a living tradition instead of a collection of static litanies. So that's kind of what drew me into the book, was the intro. So, like I was saying, chapter 1, and you can tell that I highlight every little thing. He talks about sources of attacks. He talks about offended spirits, which happens all the time. We as human beings aren't always connected to the spirit world, and those of us who practice magic know that sometimes something that we do, either magic-wise or mundanely, can offend a spirit, and they can, set us up with bad luck, a curse, so to extent, or what have you, or just negativity, not negativity, negativity. You can do, let's see. Okay, so from the recognizing attacks, sources of attacks. So what he has here is, in my experience, I'm reading from the book, in my experience, occult attacks and cross conditions generally stem from one of 4 sources. Offended spirits acting in retribution for offensive actions, people stumbling unprepared into places of power and being negatively affected by their ambience, or 3 missteps or broken vows in the occult practice, and 4 attacks from other practitioners. And I know there are some people out there that argue that psychic attack and curses and stuff aren't real, are psychological, but that's really not the case. I think every interaction we have with someone, negative or whatever, is can damage our psyche and damage and send negativity our way, even unbeknownst to us. We can do it to ourselves. Self-inflicted curses or self-inflicted bad luck. And there's so in the first chapter, he goes into detail about each of the 4 that he mentioned. Let's see. And then he talks about identifying the attack. So you really want to know, when you are working on countermeasures to counteract the said attack, you want to know which one of the 4 or which one of the many others, because there's a lot of other ones too, than what he just talks about. You want to know which one you are being targeted by, or which one has affected you. So identifying that is fantastic. He talks about using preventative measures so you don't get under attack, like daily banishings, or daily cleansings, or weekly cleansings, monthly cleansing with the full moon, setting up your shields on your house, home, car, your person, carrying a protective amulet, working with your guides or spirits that you work with to help you stay from being attacked. But he talks about symptoms of attack, how you know that you're kind of under attack. So I'm just going to go through, there's other 4 sections. One's external conditions, symptoms of attack, mental conditions, physical conditions, and there's one more, and omens and warnings. So he lists a very detailed list of, and it's not like, you're sick and you go on WebMD and you freak out because you think you have cancer. It's not like that. He basically puts it down to a very easy and very very simple way to identify that you may be under attack, or you may have something that's latched onto you. Whether it be you have a run in the middle of bad luck, that's more of the external things. You suddenly get sick out of nowhere. You feel drained, restless, can't sleep at night. You're having mental thoughts, anger outrages. If you aren't diagnosed with mood swings or bipolar, you tend to, if you're under attack, you tend to take on those mood swings, get angry, get emotional, can't think straight, can't do the simplest of tasks. They're hard for you to do, get lost in thought, or get lost in general. And then there are omens and warnings. He talks about setting up a warning system, which is in the book. He has a couple different methods of how to set up like a Magick alarm system, just in case something is thrown at you. That works fantastic. So getting out of chapter 1, he talks about daily practices, which for him, his daily practices and what he suggests that the reader does so that they don't succumb to a psychic attack or a curse or whatever, is meditation, daily banishment, spirit offerings, and I knew this because I used to do this. So meditation, banishing rituals, and the first banishing ritual is actually in here is not the lesser banishment ritual, the pentagram, which I thought it would be, but he does talk about that later. But it's actually a ritual calling on the 4 elemental spirits that work with Hecate. It's a very powerful ritual from what I've experienced because I have performed this. It's very powerful. It does its job amazingly well. Usually, truthfully, I haven't done the ritual in a couple months, but it is the Spear of Hecus, um, which he talks about the Spear of Hecus, and then it goes on to the next page and explains everything. Um, it tells you the first one is conjuring the column, which is you're conjuring the earth and solar energies within yourself, kind of like what you do in the lesser banishment ritual, the pentagram. You're aligning yourself with the energies. Um, and the next part is delineating the boundaries. So you're setting up your circle, you're setting up the sacred space, which is also part of the lesser banishment ritual, the pentagram, when you're invoking the 4 names of God with the pentagrams in the 4 directions, setting up that boundary. Then you invoke the guardians, and there are they're all named differently, and I'm not going to stumble through the names. I stumble through them through ritual, but they're all named differently. And after each section, he tells you, he describes them in such accurate ways that it's not difficult for you to visualize them and to bring them forth into your plane of existence, or your plane of magic, the circle. And then he closes it. So a lot of this stuff, a lot of the first ritual is in Greek. At least the names are, and so are. Actually, no, they're in Latin, not Greek, because Ascendant Columba is descendant of the dove. That's what he starts out, and then at the end of it, some of the parts, other than the names of the spirits, are in English, and then other parts are split. You either can read it in Latin or in English. Then he talks about offerings, making offerings to the spirits, and I actually have that bookmarked. I used to do this all the time, and now I do my own little thing. Instead of reading out of this book, I do my own thing. But making offerings to the spirits that you work with, and maybe those that don't work with you, or you don't have a connection with, or maybe those who are sent against you. This is offering sets up a space where they all can partake in whatever you're offering wine, incense, food. The basic ritual is you charge the item beforehand, and then you call on all of the spirits. He has a list of spirits, you know, list of spirits from like elementals to the restless undead to your guardians, the deities you work with, which I added that in. So, and then he says, come and partake in this ritual, or come partake in this offering. And then you can sit there at your altar while your incense is burning, or sit there for like 5 or 10 minutes. And if you wanted to, you could commune with a particular spirit. Like if you know that someone sent, or someone sent a spirit, or you upset a spirit, or offended a spirit, you could sit and have a conversation with them while they're partaking the incense, because they're in your sacred space, and they can't do anything because they are in your like microcosm. So, and then after you feel that you're ready to get everyone else, he says, go now, go in peace, be fulfilled, and it's kind of like pushing everything away, so no one else is lingering around. And he does say after each one of these, you can cleanse if you feel like you need to, but you don't have to. I do anyway. I have a Florida water spritzer that I use, and I spritz around the room that I did it in, or spritz around the house if I feel like the whole house has been affected. But those are his 3 things that he recommends for daily practice. So meditation, banishing, and offerings that he suggests for to keep yourself out of spiritual attacks. The next one is personal protection. He talks in here about shields. He talks about different ways to create a shield. He talks about using the power of the elements to create a shield, which has been said in other books as well. It has been talked about, I know, in Christopher Pensack's The Witch's Shield, and I believe his Inner Temple of Witchcraft talks about creating a shield using the elements, or the crystal shield. I think it's the crystal shield. Ellen Dugan, in her Practical Protection Magic, talks about using the elements to banish negativity and create a energetic shield around yourself. The next thing he talks about is invisibility, which is an interesting concept. He has a ritual to make oneself invisible, and it's not, you're not going to make yourself literally invisible. What it does is it's more, he adds more ceremonial practices to it, but it's very simple. It's more of a shamanic technique where you blend in your aura with the background of everything else, so you literally become unnoticeable from those you don't want to notice you. You're still there, you're still, like, if doesn't take, I don't know how to explain it. It makes you stand out less, I guess you could say. It does, it kind of contracts your, it can contract your aura to where it's not as bright or not as shining, or it makes it kind of like a chameleon. So you kind of blend in with everything. And he has a whole ritual for that, which I have not done because I have a simpler way to make myself invisible when I need it, and I don't want to be invisible all the time. So then he talks about cleansing and protection baths. He has different recipes in here for cleansing and protection. So as you can see, he has different recipes. So for the protection one, he talks about a good protection bath includes salt, ammonia, and vinegar. It's disgusting. The salt and vinegar can be equal parts, or about half a cup or so, but the ammonia should only be a teaspoon diluted in at least 4 gallons of water. As it is toxic and can be harmful if inhaled. Ammonia is considered to be a strong cleaner that if more is used, it will not only remove negative influences, but positive and neutral ones as well. The cleansing bath, he says, white oak bark, cinnamon, and pine needles. He said hyssop is also used for cleansing away, clearing evil that you brought upon yourself. Reversing harm is eucalyptus leaves, red pepper, and rue. He said this is especially for reversing harm back upon the sender and can be used in conjunctions with the spells in Chapter 7. You can add approximately half a cup of each eucalyptus leaves and rue and a pinch of red pepper. You don't want to add too much red pepper into a bath because that can make you break out. That can, since it is spicy, it can inflame your skin, and we don't want that to happen. Then he talks about amulets, talismans, and charms. And he goes into different ones for that. He talks about... Okay, so he talks about different amulets. I've been doing this by the fly. He talks about different amulets from different traditions. So instead of, other than the cross, there are other types of protective amulets, like the Hand of Fatima, or the Hand of Miriam, sister of Moses and Aaron. The popular symbol of protection in the Middle East, it consists of a downward pointed hand, usually with an eye in the middle. A variation of the Hamsa hand is the eye set in blue glass, found everywhere in Morocco. So those are the protective amulets for the evil eye. I see those everywhere here. In Thailand, the Palad Kik, or the surrogate penis of Thailand, is a penis amulet usually with a monkey, tiger, or some other animal riding on top of it. The penis amulet protects against spirits. To sleep. Protects against spirits, spells that would cause infertility and loss of fertility. And there are other ones as well. He talks about using the Satyr Square, which you're familiar with ceremonial magic. So let's keep going because I'm going. It's pretty lengthy. I'm already 25 minutes in. He talks about different things like travel protection. There is a ritual of calling on Hecate for protection. Different things for the home. He goes into next chapter's protection for the home. He goes into different floor wash recipes, incense recipes, powders and dusts that you can use, amulets for the home, decoys and traps, like using gargoyles, things along that line as like a warning system. And then he talks about the triangular spirit trap, which was on the cover of the book that you could use to capture a spirit if it's been sent to you. You can have those out throughout the home. It's almost like the Supernatural's devil trap. And he has a way to consecrate and invoke the power of the spirit trap. He has that ritual. And then the next chapter is on exorcism. I don't believe... That's what I thought. Okay, so I don't believe, and he does not have a rite of exorcism in the book. He talks about different spirits that you can use, or different spirits that you can call on, like calling on Mars, Marduk, Michael, Ogun, Horus, and Thor. Those are some of the spirits that you can call on. But he's also said that it's calling on many spirits is not really going to help your cause instead of calling on one spirit that you work with. So if you work with any of those in particular, like I work with Michael, I would call on Archangel Michael more so than I would call on Thor or Horus or Ogun or Ogun, because I have a relationship with Michael. So he also states in there that he does not want to have a rite of exorcism in the book. He has something to confront, like if there's a spirit inside someone, he has words you can use to confront the spirit and to cast it out. But as the whole rite of exorcism, he tells the reader to engulf themselves in prayer or inflame themselves in prayer. I think that's the right verbiage. Hold on. Trying to find it. No, I can't find it. Saw it earlier. Oh, inflame thyself with prayer. So it talks a little bit about that. That's something that usually the common witch does not see, but it is out there. It does happen. The next chapter is on spirit guardians and servitors. He talks about what the spirit guardian spirits and the difference between those and servitors, how you can call upon them if need be, how you can make a spirit house, and working with artificial spirits that you have made, kind of like servitors. What was our servitors? Then chapter 7 is reversal and counter magic, which in this chapter he talks about identifying your attacker. He has multiple reversal and counteractive spells that you could use. Binding and influencing, he talks about both of them. So it's he has a couple ones like the bend over powder or tanglefoot charm. He has graveyard binding, stop talk about you, confusion powder, which is fantastic. A confusion doll, expelling hotfoot powder, you know, he has all these different recipes in here on how to send magic back to the caster. And then chapter 8, once you have done that, you want a period of healing and recovery, because you have been under attack, so you do need to heal your body and heal your energy, heal the energy of the place, or the house, or of the person. If you're doing this for someone else, he has different spells, different combos, different incense blends, things like that in here for that. He talks a little bit about soul retrieval, um, which is um, a shamanic method of gathering a fractured soul. And what a fractured soul is when someone goes through a traumatic experience. It is believed in Native American and shamanic cultures that part of the soul is chipped off because they just they can't deal with that process. And when you want to heal from that traumatic process, you have a shaman or someone who is used to healing that in that way, journey in and find the soul, or you can do it yourself and kind of coerce it back into your energy body so you become one complete soul being. And soul fragments can be, they can fragment off from any little things, like stress at work, overstress at work, or traumatic hospitalization, a near-death experience, abuse, either substance abuse or mental abuse, physical abuse, things like that. But that's a whole other topic. And then he talks, and the last one is his final words about the book. So if you are interested in reversal and protection magic, I highly recommend this book by Jason Miller. I will put a link below to the Amazon where you can get it off Amazon. This was a lengthy video, and I apologize for that, but I hope you guys did enjoy my video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Many blessings.